The Astros have the tables be turned on them as they get swept by the Cleveland Guardians after coming off of a heroic series in LA. What happened? We're going to talk all about it. After sweeping the Dodgers in LA in what was, I think, probably the Astros' most dominant series win of the entire season up to this point, can you believe it? They come home to a struggling Cleveland Guardians team who had lost 10 straight and only scored 15 runs across that 10-game losing streak, mind you. They come in and they sweep the Astros, and I mean, surprisingly, they had scored 17 runs, more than they had scored over that 10-game losing streak in the first two games alone. What happened? Part of it, I guess, had to do with the fact that we had a AAA-esque lineup across the entire series. But even in the second game of the series, Hunter Brown had a rather implosion of a start, a rather abnormal one. I mean, it was a rather abnormal series for us as a whole because, we played so well at home, and it's only our second series loss all season at home, our first anywhere since Tampa. But yet, despite that, we ended up getting swept. We're going to break down what happened in this series, but first we're going to dive right into a couple of injury updates. We have, honestly, quite a bit to share. They were posted courtesy of Channel Rome. I will post this tweet on screen for you guys right now if you guys want to pause the video and read it. These updates, just as a disclaimer, are accurate as of Tuesday, but we're going to real quick discuss the ones that stand out to me personally. Yordan Alvarez is continuing to work out as we speak. He has not progressed to hitting yet, nor has Jeremy Pena. It's more the same story on him. Obviously, Chas McCormick, he had begun a rehab assignment with AAA Sugarland this past Friday, July the 4th. We're not sure what he's up to right now, but outside of that, those are really the three most important ones that are standing out to me, at least, as of right now. But we have no further injury updates on either of these guys or anybody on this list, at least that I'm concerned about. But diving into a couple of more recent ones, starting with Jake Meyers, and this actually is the final one I'll go ahead and discuss. He was gearing up to play in the series finale against the Guardians, but had to be taken out before the first pitch was even thrown. I suppose that he had re-aggravated that calf injury. I'm not sure why he would risk doing that, especially because this is right before the All-Star break, and we did have an off day yesterday, so I do question again why he was going into the game, but it's not my call. So but regardless, he's going to be going onto the injured list with that calf strain. Hopefully we'll see him back soon. It's yet another Astros injury and another domino to fall. This was part of the reason why that the Astros, I think, had gotten swept, because they were missing a lot of their offensive weapons. Christian Walker was also one of those missing pieces. He was out this entire series on paternity leave, but he was reinstated off of paternity leave, and he will be back in this weekend series against the Rangers this weekend. So, hopefully he didn't miss. So hopefully his time off isn't going to make him feel too rusty. But real quick, dude, before we break down this series, dude, it's worth mentioning the fact that the Astros medical staff really are honestly, I don't know what the heck they're doing. Chandler Rome recently posted an article calling them out amidst all these injuries. But an Astros insider had recently called out the medical staff amidst all of these injuries. But the Astros have been dealing with a ton of injuries recently. You guys have known that, and it's more that I can personally ramble off right now. But they're all ranging from season-ending injuries to guys like Hayden Wesneski and Ronel Blanco to basically simple setbacks to small little calf sprains or something like that, maybe a contusion in your hand, something or whatever, in recent weeks. And those have been turning from simple setbacks to lingering issues that have been going on for the past 2 months at this point. And with that being said, there's a reason to be concerned amongst this team. Now, don't get me wrong. Setbacks happen across the sport, and it's not just baseball. It's across all sports, including soccer, which I would argue isn't even an American sport, if I'm being honest. This stuff can happen. That might be the case with Jake Meyers' setback as of this past Wednesday. But we could just be facing flat out terrible luck with these injuries. That was the case for us last year because we lost Christian Javier with Tommy John surgery. He's still not back. But with all the questions and uncertainties that we fans have had over the past 2 months, since May when Yordan went down, there's a good reason why us fans really should be calling out the medical staff, and why this person in this article, which I will link to in the video description, as to why the medical staff is being called out amidst these issues. But obviously, it's becoming more obvious that every new injury that we are seeing these days is just kind of hard to believe. And every new injury that even that was announced today that Myers was going on the injured list, I mean, could we fans now assume that he's just going to be out for the season at this point? Because we were clearly trying to rush him and it did not work. Now, if you look at the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal in the sense that we have a 6.5 game lead in the division entering play on Friday, entering play tonight. But at the same time, man, looking elsewhere at the AL standings, the Toronto Blue Jays, they are hot on our heels right now for the second seed in the AL. And if you guys remember, the top 2 seeds get the byes to the division series, and the Blue Jays are hot on our heels for that mark, and they're leading the AL East right now. It obviously took us to get swept, and they were obviously keeping pace on us, having won 10 games in a row over the past week and a half. So that's a more serious issue that we need to worry about. Again, it's only July, and the All-Star break is just a couple days away. But, that's something we need to be keeping an eye on. But seriously, though, misdiagnosing injuries is honestly a major mess up, and it's a serious issue. The Astros have had it happen multiple times the last 2 years, with Jeremy Pena not knowing that he had a fractured rib until later, Yordan Alvarez, of course, not knowing that he had a fracture until having another MRI on it, both of which happened this year. And then last summer, when Kyle Tucker initially he had thought that we just had a little shin contusion, but eventually in August, it was close to when he was returning, but it wasn't until then when the medical staff had revealed that he actually had a fracture this whole damn time. What is going on? We're sponsored by Houston Methodist, for crying out loud. Quite possibly the largest medical center company here in the entire city. You really think that they would not be having the most top-notch equipment to give us the most most top-notch technology of all things to give us the most up-to-date information, because all they're doing is just, like a player gets hurt on the hand, they get an MRI, comes back clean, then a couple days later, gets another one, gets a fracture. Is that just the fact that they're just not revealing it at first, or are they just trying to be hiding something from us? Because with all the injuries that we have had, I really kind of think it's the latter. Because seriously, it's July already. Yordan went down on the injured list in May. Luis Garcia had Tommy John surgery, I think maybe in May of 2023, and he is still not back. Lance McCullers Jr., he missed 2 full seasons dealing with multiple setbacks in the mix. JP France is also missing that significant time. He also went down with shoulder surgery that last season. All was thanks in part to Dana Brown, simply putting the fact that we probably rushed him. Now, to be calling the Astros injury issues bad luck would probably just be doing the players a disgrace, if I'm being honest. But if the medical staff is misdiagnosing players and the players just continue to suffer setbacks in their recovery, it's kind of hard to ignore this. But, again, like I said, the latest setback with Myers being potentially rushed back, it's just like JP France was. But, it's cascading into but all of these injuries, like with Yordan, like I said earlier, it is cascading into long-term absences, with each injury scare being more frightening than the previous, especially when it happens to an Astros player. Even Altuve in the second game of this series, which I still have yet to get to amidst all this rant, mind you. I kind of hope I haven't lost you guys to this point. Even Altuve was actually paid a visit by the trainer after he had suffered something. I don't know exactly what it was. Thankfully, he stayed in the game, and so far to this day, he hasn't, that hasn't come back to bite him as of yet. But for a team atop the division in second place overall in the AL, these issues could be the difference between it winning the World Series and not, let alone making it there. Because, it's a long season and health is a major factor into a team making a deep postseason run. But with that being said, guys, let's finally break down this rather agonizing series against the Guardians. So starting in this first game here, it was scoreless up until the 5th inning with Colton Gordon, of course. With the Guardians, like I had said earlier, were coming in having lost 10 straight. They would snap that in this game. I kind of figured they would snap this streak eventually against us, but it had to come in the first game of all games. But it started in the 5th inning with Steven Kwan getting a ribby single to break first for the Guardians. This hit had actually hit off of Colton Gordon, and he is currently being evaluated for a concussion. So far, we have no official word as to whether he's going to be entering concussion protocol this weekend. But, if he does enter concussion protocol, at the very least, he'll have the whole All-Star break to rest up, and he won't miss his next start. So fingers crossed on that. But the big blow was Jose Ramirez hitting a 3-run home run to put the Guardians up 4-0. But it wouldn't stay 4-0 Guardians for long, as the Astros would answer with a 4 spot of their own in the bottom of the 5th inning. And it was pretty similar in that sense, with Taylor Trammell hitting a 3-run home run to make it a 1-run game. And then Isaac Paredes, for the second time in just under a week, would give Astros fans free chicken from Chick-fil-A by hitting a game-tying home run off of the left field foul pole to tie the score at 4. That was the score going into the 6th inning, when the Guardians had put up a 2-spot, scoring a 2-run double off of Bennett Sousa to go up 6-4. That was a lead that they would not relinquish, as despite Victor Caratini hitting a home run in the bottom of the 6th to make it a 1-run game again. Unfortunately, that was the closest as they would get, as David Fry would hit a home run off of Caleb Warts that barely curved into the Crawford boxes to make it 7-5, which was eventually the final score in this game. Game 2 was more the same story, as Hunter Brown would give up 6 runs in this game that would tie a season high for him. It had started in the top of the first inning with Jose Ramirez hitting a 2-run home run off of him to make it 2-0 Guardians early. Cam Smith in the Astros would answer to that with an RBI double in the bottom of the first inning. Though the Astros had 2 runners on with no outs, and they only got 1 run out of that. That was again the score going into the third inning, as the Guardians would score 3 more runs off of Hunter Brown to go up 5-1 going into the fourth, and then Brian Rosasho would hit another home run off of Hunter Brown to make it 6-1 in the top of the fourth. That was the score going into the bottom of the fifth inning, with Altuve hitting a 2 RBI double to make it 6-3. Guardians at that point, and then slowly but surely the Astros would start chipping away until eventually in the bottom of the 8th, when Jose Altuve would tie the game at 6. That was the score going into Manfred innings. And although it was relatively close, Josh Hader, who was being asked to go 10 innings, he had a Manfred runner on third base with Jose Ramirez at the plate. He ended up actually intentionally walking him, which was a rather smart move. But unfortunately, the big blow in this game was Angel Martinez hitting a backbreaker of a grand slam that barely got into the Crawford boxes at a distance of just over 300 feet. Made me really sad at the moment. Like, seriously, dude, the Crawford boxes need to go. How many home runs have other teams hit in these stupid Crawford boxes that aren't even 350 feet in distance? It's ridiculous. And this was a prime example of that. And I mean, and like I said, that Hader grand slam would ultimately take the air out of the stadium and send fans leaving. So, that would pretty much secure the series wrap for the Guardians at that point. But the series finale was honestly quite a mismatch, if I'm being honest. The tone was set early with Angel Martinez and Jose Ramirez, the 2 thorns in our side this entire series to this point, both hitting back-to-back home runs off of Brandon Walter. And then Guardians starter Slade Ciccione or something like that. I'm likely mispronouncing his last name there. But he would he would pretty much just look like a Cy Young at this point, if I'm being honest. He would only allow 2 earned runs over 7 innings of work. Those 2 runs came in the bottom of the 8th inning, where the Astros were trying to get it going late, but ultimately it just was not enough. But again, like I said, I kind of feel like just the fact that we had sent out a AAA lineup for throughout this entire series, with us having missed a lot of our offensive weapons. And then another classic choke Stros kind of way that the Astros had lost this game was the fact that they had gone 1 for 8 with men in scoring position, and I think went 2 for 30-something throughout the entire series, or something crazy like that. They had gone 2 for 21 with men in scoring position in the second game of the series, which, that's like I said, that's a rather classic, choke Stros version of the way to lose a game. Because, if you have that many opportunities and have practically nothing to show for it, good luck winning the game at that point. It doesn't matter if you're the Astros or somebody else. Like I said, man, tough series, and, a series that we could hopefully just flush behind us going into this final weekend series before the All-Star break against the Texas Rangers. It should be a pretty good series, man, but I'm a little bit nervous because, if the offense does not pick it up, we're just going to get absolutely destroyed. And at that point, man, like I said, we just probably need to use the All-Star break as a way to treat our wounds. And speaking of All-Stars, again, earlier this week, it was announced that Isaac Paredes was announced as another All-Star. He's going to be replacing another one of those AL guys. I don't remember who exactly he's replacing. But Hunter Brown, who was named an All-Star to pitch in Atlanta, is not going to be pitching in Atlanta next week. And instead, he's going to be pitching in the series finale against the Rangers on Sunday. Personally, I am okay with that. I don't mind the fact that he's not going to pitch in Atlanta. If anything, that'll make him available to pitch in either game 1 or 2 against the Mariners in the first series coming out of the All-Star break. So I'm excited for that. But that's what's up for the Astros next, guys. 3 games against the Rangers on tap this weekend. Like I said, I'm excited. I'm not going to be at any of the 3 games, but, like I said, it should be a great series nonetheless. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And if you want to watch any of my other videos, then click these cards here above my shoulders. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, like I said. And I'll see you guys in the next one.